Imagine being tasked with building a church in just 1 year. That might sound doable, but what if you weren't allowed to use any stone, brick, metal, or plaster, no towers, no bells inside the church, and you'd have to build outside the city walls? Now, that's a real challenge, right? This is exactly what Protestants faced after the Peace of Westphalia in 1648, when they were granted permission to build 3 so-called churches of peace, but under extremely strict conditions designed to prevent their long-term survival. You might be thinking of the articular churches in Slovakia, some of which are also UNESCO listed. Yes, the conditions were similar, but the churches of peace in Poland were built nearly a century earlier, directly as a result of the Peace of Westphalia, and only 3 were ever permitted, of which 2 in Świdnica and Jaworze survive to this day. The Slovak articular churches were built later, following the Sopron Assembly in 1681, and 5 of them still stand in Slovakia. One more important detail. These churches were allowed to have belfries, but they could never be physically connected to the church. They always had to stand separately nearby. The Church of Peace in Świdnica is thus a unique European monument, a symbol of faith's resilience, craftsmanship, and the yearning for religious freedom in times of severe restrictions. The Church of Peace in Świdnica was ceremonially opened after just 10 months of construction in June 1657. The project was designed by Albrecht Sabisch, with master carpenter Andreas Kayemper overseeing the work, and the funding came directly from the local Protestant community. Nobles, townspeople, farmers, and craftsmen all contributed, with collections even reaching distant Protestant centers across Europe. Inside the church, you'll find a unique Baroque organ, one of the largest in all of Lower Silesia. The first major instrument was built by Master Close in the 17th century, and it was later rebuilt and expanded several times. Because the organ often broke down, the church also acquired a smaller organ in the opposite gallery, so that music would never be missing, even during repairs. Today, the main organ has over 4,000 pipes and is regularly played not only during services, but also at concerts and festivals. Beyond the organ, the church features a magnificent Baroque altar, a pulpit adorned with biblical motifs, a freestanding 18th-century belfry, and ceiling paintings depicting stories from the Bible. Special attention should also be paid to the Hochberg Lodge, the place from which the church's greatest donors and patrons observed services. All these details were made possible thanks to the immense dedication and solidarity of the local community, which achieved the impossible, building the largest wooden church in Europe, now rightfully listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site.